Welcome everybody to the 9th annual Hassan Hathout Loving Heart Contest. It's a pleasure to be here today as your MC, and it's a pleasure to be amongst your company. It's not quite a beautiful day, but we'll make up for it with the beautiful people in this room. Thank you all very much. The Hassan Hathout Foundation was established after his passing, Allah yarhamu, in 2009. The Hassan Hathout Foundation is an educational 501c3 nonprofit organization whose mission is to spread the message of love in God. All are welcome to visit us at www.hhlf.org. This event is going to be recorded. It'll be available on the internet. There will also be an opportunity for photos afterwards. So if you miss anything, including my corny jokes, don't worry, you can listen to them later. And then I'll be available if anybody really wants a picture with me later as well. So no need to rush the stage right now. So many thanks to the students, teachers, families, and school heads who've participated in this 9th annual Hassan Hathout Student Essay Contest, How to Give a Loving Heart. It's offered annually to students in schools grades 5 through 8 or ages 10 through 13. We're pleased that participation continues to expand and encompasses from different and comes from members of different faiths. Many submissions were very competitive, and we're grateful to all the participating students and schools for their inspiring work. Some of the winners from these schools are even from out of state. Please join us in congratulating all the top contestants, those in the room as well as those who are watching this recording later. I'm going to name off the winners by grade level. I'll pause after every name so that you can clap for them. Later, we will bring those same winners up so that they can present their essays or so that I can interact with them about their essays. It'll be one or the other. Don't worry, it's predetermined. So if you don't know you're reading your essay, don't be stressed. You know if you are. All right. So again, I'm just going to call out the names. We're going to applaud for them, and then later we'll bring them up onto stage. Starting with 8th grade, Rayan Talakdar from Granada Islamic School in Santa Clara, California. From the New Horizons School in Irvine, California, Farah El-Orabi. And also from the New Horizons School in Irvine, California, Rania Ben Othman. 7th grade. 7th grade from the Muslim Educational Trust in Portland, Oregon, Amina Zakarne. From the New Horizons School in Irvine, California, Zaid Salem. From the City of Knowledge in Pomona, California, Ihsan Aryan. And from the New Horizons School in Irvine, California, Muhammad Yahya Azar. And now for our 6th grade winners. From Medina Academy in Windsor, Connecticut, Tasneem Zoghul. From the New Horizons School in Irvine, California, Alicia Qureshi. And from Mayfield Junior School in Pasadena, California, Sophia Page. And finally, last but not least, our 5th graders. From the New Horizons School, Westside, California, Amen Lone. She brought her cheer squad with her, that's good. And from the New Horizons School in Irvine, California, Omar El-Sayed. And finally, from the New Horizons School, Westside, Dana Ghanem. Congratulations to all our winners and to all of those who participated as well. We're pleased that the participation this year has expanded even more. It's encompassed even students from more faith backgrounds as well. And many submissions were very competitive. We're grateful to all of those who participated, as well as the schools for honoring and encouraging their work. We also want to give special acknowledgement to the reviewers and for Ms. Aida Osman for her help with her final review. Is Aida here? No, okay. I need to welcome a few more people that are amongst us. Welcome to the school heads and the teachers in attendance. When I call your name, please stand so that you could be recognized. Ms. Dalal Antabli from the Horizon West Side. On behalf of the New Horizon Irvine, Mrs. Amira Abdel Al. I saw you somewhere. There you are. From the New Horizon Pasadena, Mr. Logan Seiler. Did I say that right? We may never know. Okay. Unfortunately, the City of Knowledge had their annual event today, and so Dr. Halima Sheikhli could not attend, but let's recognize her in case she watches the recording later. And then a special welcome to Christine, did I say this right? Goethals? I did, okay, good. From Mayfield Junior School for her school's continued participation. Please extend our thanks to her as well. Okay, so as I mentioned before, because of the time limitations, not every winner is going to recite their essay today, but we have selected a few, and of course they've agreed to as well, so nobody's being put on the spot. For those who will not be reading their essays, I will still be bringing them up to on stage and asking them a couple of questions about their essays. Don't worry, they're really easy questions, all right? All right, so let's get started with our 5th grade. So if I may please have, we'll call you up one at a time, and then at the end, we'll take a picture all together. Does that sound okay? All right, here we go. So let's begin with Ayman Lone from the New Horizon School West Side. Come on up. Are you ready? All right. There you go.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ayman Lone. I'm in 5th grade. How to grow a loving heart. Washington Irving once said, "A kind heart is a fountain of gladness, making everything in its vicinity freshen into smiles." I think that this quote means that a kind heart makes everyone around them happy. Love is when you care for somebody and how you treat that person. Love is also an intense feeling of deep emotion, but I believe that you have to show that love and emotion through your actions and words. A person with a loving heart is not just one that is generous, kind, and forgiving, but it is one who takes time and energy to do these things with a willingness to help others and make them happy. To grow a loving heart, you need to be thankful, content, generous, kind, and forgiving. When you see someone with something you like, you should thank Allah for what you have and compare yourself with the people who don't have anything before asking for more. In Surah Ibrahim, Ayah 7, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "If you are thankful for what you have, I am sure to give you more." The opposite of being content is to be envious. There is no envy in a loving heart. You also need to be generous and kind to grow a loving heart. When you see people without homes on the roads with signs up that say help, you should try to help them. You do not have to give them a lot, maybe just some food. Every time I go on the freeway, there is a man with a sign that says, "Lost my job, I have 4 kids, help." I always tell my dad to give him some money for help. Now every time we pass him, he gives us a nice thank you smile. When I see these people, I feel bad that I have warm blankets for cold nights and they have light blankets for cold nights. I have breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and they have to dig through garbage bag or starve. I don't understand how a person cannot care about people like that. There used to be a man who used to sleep in our alley on the cold nights. Every day I would go to school and the man's legs would be in the car's way. One day my mom went to the store and she picked up a warm blanket for the man because it was cold. This shows me that my mom cared about the man and she has a loving heart, because at the end of the day of a long day at work, she took the time and spent the money to help the man. This is how a true loving heart should be. In my school, we have an event called Feeding the Homeless every year. In Islamic studies class, we decorate brown bags to put the meals in. All the students participate in this event. We all get together with clean hands and put together turkey sandwiches. Then the 5th grade students and the student council get in cars and we drive to downtown where we find hungry people to give sandwiches and water bottles to. Here we are practicing generosity. When I went this year, it was scary at first to see all the dirty tents lined up together. There were a lot of people staring at us as we took the food out of our cars. Then we went to the corner of the street to pass the sandwiches out. Many people came and took 2 bags or even 3. We ran out fast. As our sandwiches disappeared, I felt really bad and worried. I was wondering, wouldn't more hungry people come? Clearly, we did not have enough food for everybody. Soon we were only giving out water bottles. Not many people took them because they wanted sandwiches instead of water. I felt bad for the people who didn't get anything, but my teacher had warned us that even though we made 200 sandwiches, it would not feed all the people who needed it. There were a lot of people turning their heads when they realized we were out. I think it was a really good program for helping others, and it helped my loving heart grow more. Whenever I go to the masjid with my dad, he will give me some money for sadaqah. When he doesn't, I take some money out of my allowance to put in the box at the masjid. Almost every time we go, there is a poor lady outside the masjid. She has no shoes and her clothes are ripped and dirty, but she still manages to put a smile on her face and greet everyone in her path with salam. I always feel bad for her and give her some money. I love seeing the smile on poor people's faces when they get money or food. This makes me happy because I feel like I was able to help them and make them feel happy even if it was just for a little while. It helps me grow a better loving heart each time I pass by a poor person and I'm able to help. To grow a loving heart, you need to be forgiving. A famous story about our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the old Jewish lady says that this lady used to throw trash at the door of the Prophet Muhammad's house every day. One day there was no trash and the Prophet asked about the lady. One of his neighbors informed that she was sick, so he decided to go to her house and check on her. Any one of us would have been grateful that she stopped, but the Prophet, peace be upon him, didn't. He showed care for the lady and forgave her for the sake of Allah. When someone does something we don't like, we should forgive them like we would want Allah to forgive us. Forgiving takes courage, and the courage helps love to grow. When the old lady saw the Prophet at her house, she was very touched and realized that he was a good man with a good heart, and in no way could his faith be bad. She believed in him and accepted Islam. What inspires me is that the Prophet would actually go to her house and check on her, even though she was not respectful or kind. The simple but courageous act of forgiveness helped the lady see the love and accept the message. To grow a loving heart, you also need to be kind and open-hearted. In recent days, we have all heard of people leaving their homes and families behind to find a better place to live. People from Syria, Palestine, Mexico, and other countries are fleeing war and poverty and are trying to come to the countries that have better futures to offer. Only people with loving hearts would understand why people are leaving their homes and would welcome them with open hearts. When you see a refugee somewhere, try to make them feel welcome and at home. A loving heart is one that feels for others. I watched the news about a family from Syria whose house got bombed, and they were waiting for 3 years for a country to accept them until Canada did. The family had to make the move with 8 kids. When they got there, they could not understand or speak English. The parents had to learn English as well as the kids. We should let these refugees stay because we should try to realize what they are going through. It's hard for them to be in a different country without knowing the language well, and they would need someone to help them settle down. Thinking about their family back in their hometown might make them sad or make them miss their home. Unfortunately, many selfish people will not realize what these refugees are going through until it happens to them. These are the people without loving hearts. Some people change after bad things happen to them in realization of what others are going through. This is how all of us should be, but we should be like this without anything bad happening to us. I personally think that a loving heart is a blessing because in addition to letting you help others less fortunate, it gives you the ultimate satisfaction and happiness. Every helping hand makes a difference, not only to others, but to yourself too. You need to be thankful, content, generous, kind, and forgiving. When you do these things, you get more good deeds, which will outweigh the bad deeds, and that saves you on the day of judgment. We will be judged by our deeds and intentions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be pleased with us if we show a loving heart to others.
Well done, Ayman. That was a beautiful essay. Thank you so much for sharing that with us today. You have a very good reading voice, by the way. You project so well. I was wondering if it had to do with the stool. I was going to stand on it myself to see if that would help me with my presentation schedule. All right, so our next awardee unfortunately couldn't make it today. He's homesick. Stay here with me, Ayman. We're going to take pictures in just a moment. Our next awardee unfortunately could not make it. He's homesick. That is Omar Al-Sayed, but we'll recognize him. His dad is here, so let's give him a round of applause. This is going to be a little awkward because you got to stand next to Ayman to get the award. But it's good. Maybe people will see the resemblance. You're welcome. All right, our third awardee today in 5th grade is Dana Ghanem from New Horizon West Side. Come on up, Dana. Okay, Dana, so I have some questions for you. Have us stand up there so everybody can see you. Let's get this out of the way. Very nice. All right, so can I ask you some questions about your essay? So in your essay, you also mentioned the homeless feeding, like Ayman did. Am I correct? There was something that I read in your essay that I found really touching, and I wanted you to share it with us today. And it was something special that you did on the lunch bags. Do you remember do you know what I'm referring to? So can you tell everybody, what is it that you did that was a special thing from your heart to the people that you were serving these lunches to?
Well, on my bags, I wrote a note that was saying, like, enjoy the food and to, like, have a good time. And
that was very sweet of you. I think that's a wonderful thing. Let's give her a round of applause for that. I appreciated the personal touch that you put on that experience that so many of us have had the opportunity to participate in, but thank you so much for inspiring me and hopefully inspiring others to just do a little extra the next time we participate in an activity like that. Congratulations. Stand right there. And I'd like to call Dr. Hathout to come on up so we can present the awards. And Haitham, you can come up now to accept Omar's reward too. Ayman Lone. Omar Al Sayed. Yeah, say a few words, of course.
Assalamu alaikum. Since Omar couldn't be here, he just wanted to say thank you to the Hathout Foundation, the community. First, thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But he just wanted to let you know he's also donating everything to the cause, and he wrote about Muhammad Bazik. He's a gentleman in LA who, it's pretty emotional, sorry, who takes terminally ill kids at foster care that nobody wants. And he takes care of them, and that's to him was a living heart, and he noticed him at an event, and he's going to be donating everything to him, inshallah. Thanks.
Dana Ghanem. All right, let's give him one more round of applause. Did everybody get their photo? All right, let's move on. We will, thank you ladies. You may step down. All right, let's give our 5th graders one final round of applause. All right, now we'll move on to our 6th grade awardees. By the way, I did want to thank you, Haitham, for bringing that up. You guys are going to have an opportunity later to hear about Muhammad Bazik from another one of our essayists who's going to read an essay about him. So thank you very much, though, for bringing that up. All right, our first awardee is going to be, now she could not make it, Tasneem Zogul from Medina Academy in Connecticut. Let's give her a round of applause. I do want to quote something from Tasneem's essay that I thought was really noteworthy. It's a quote by Mark Twain, and in it she writes, "Kindness is a language even the deaf can hear." I thought that was a beautiful line. Thank you, Tasneem. Our next awardee will come up and recite her essay from the New Horizon School, Irvine, Alicia Qureshi.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Alicia Qureshi, and I'm in 6th grade. I'm going to be telling you about mercy. Mercy, a quality that very little have, so simple and yet so complex. The mere ability to be able to forgive and forget, to show compassion. Every time some of us try to reach for it, try to let it out, it slips away. Our world turns dark and empty, not being able to reach for the light that we know is there. It's simply hard to let go and have equanimity. It is why very few have mercy. It is something that we strive to achieve. It is not already there like feelings and emotions. Throughout history, acts of mercy have been shown in many places. Like after the Battle of Badr during World War II, and to me, in everyday life. The Battle of Badr was the first battle that the Muslims had won during the time of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. The Muslims had prisoners from war. The Prophet did not know what to do with them, so he asked his two closest companions for advice, Abu Bakr and Umar radiallahu anhu. The two suggested that the prisoners should be executed for the hardships the disbelievers had caused for the Muslims over the last decade. The Prophet, however, was against this idea. He believed that they should be ransomed instead. These people were not only prisoners of war, they were war criminals. Giving capital punishment to war criminals is legal around the world. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had the right to punish these people, especially after all the things that they had done to him and his people. Muhammad is probably one of the greatest examples of showing mercy, even to those who don't deserve it. During World War II, another surprising act of mercy happened. Most people know it as the Laconia incident. German U-boats were tasked to sink freighters and other supply ships based on the theory that countries with no supplies and resources would surrender more quickly. One night in 1943, one of the captains saw a rather large ship and ordered it to be sunk. He found out that it wasn't a freighter or military ship, but a civilian ocean liner called the Laconia, filled with civilians and Italian prisoners of war. They surfaced and started to pick up survivors. Soon, 3 other submarines came and started to pick up passengers. When there were still many people left in the water, they started to send ships to pick up the survivors. The captain did everything in his power to save the passengers, even though he could have just let them die. He showed a tremendous amount of mercy to the passengers, even though it cost him greatly later. Even though the other 2 stories are examples from the past, that doesn't mean that people don't show mercy these days. In fact, someone showed me mercy not too long ago. About 6 years ago, my family and I lived in an apartment. My father, mother, and I were in the elevator waiting for it to go to the floor that we needed to go to. When I turned around, no one was there, and the door opened back to the garage. I was confused and scared. Thinking that my parents may have gone back to the car, I stumbled out and onto the concrete floor. I walked by rows and rows of cars, calling out their names. My eyes were blurry with tears. I was losing hope of ever finding them. I saw that one of the cars in the nearest row had its trunk open, and there were bags of groceries inside. I went closer to it, hoping to find someone that could help, but there was no sign of anyone. I decided to keep walking and call their names louder. I made another circle around the whole garage until I came back to the car with the groceries inside, but this time there was someone there. An elderly lady walked up to me and asked what I was doing all alone. I told her the story, described my parents, and asked her if she'd seen them. She shook her head, and my spirits fell. She left her groceries in the car and started walking toward the elevator, telling me to come along so she could help me. She helped me tremendously. We knocked on every door until we found the right one. She's the reason I am with my family today, and she didn't have to help me. She could have just let me there and finished her work. She could have done something bad to me. She could have abandoned me halfway, but she didn't. She saw that I needed help, so she lent me a hand. This is an example of an act of mercy that anyone can do anytime. Just helping someone with something they need help with. We've now seen examples of mercy throughout time. We now need to know how we can be merciful. When we were born, emotions were implanted in us to be used. One of those emotions is love. There are many types of love, but you have to have selfless love to get to mercy. After selfless love, there's sympathy. Then we have to go back to sadness, back to the emotions. After sadness, we have to go back to sympathy. Once you get sympathy from both love and sadness, you have to have empathy. You must somewhat understand what the other person feels. Once you do all of that, you get to the first level of mercy. Getting to the highest level, we need to go more in depth in sympathy and empathy. Of course, when you have mercy, you need to apply it to your everyday life. You could let someone off the hook when they do something bad, or you could help someone when they need help. You make the world a little better every day by showing mercy, and you feel better after you show it too. All acts of mercy, whether big or small, can make a difference to you and the world. Mercy is complex, it is unique, and it is simple, yet it can change the world. Mercy isn't just a quality, it has a purpose. Mercy is like water, it is sweet and soft, while it is simple and ancient, yet it has the power to move mountains and change the world. It is something that anyone can have and use. It doesn't matter what age you are, your religion, your race, or what timeline you're at. All that matters is who you are at the end of the day.
Thank you very much, Alicia Qureshi. Well done. And also very, very well read. Our next awardee will also read her essay. Sophia Page, please make your way to the stage.
We have sent you for nothing but mercy to the world. Quran, 6th grade. By definition, mercy is the following. Mercy, noun, compassion or forgiveness shown towards someone whom it's in one's power to punish or harm. Those are just words on paper. Mercy means more than that. It means different things to different people. A 5-year-old's interpretation of mercy may be different than an 11-year-old's interpretation of it. I will tell you a tale of a personal experience of showing mercy. To me, mercy is showing compassion or forgiveness towards someone when you may want to punish or harm them. For example, if a king is about to punish someone, he decides against it to save that person for one reason or another. It doesn't have to be done by a king. We can all show mercy in our everyday lives, bringing people up instead of punishing them. As stated in the Quran, we have sent you for nothing but mercy to the world. What a wonderful, beautiful world we would live in if everyone followed these words of wisdom. I am friends with everyone in my grade. A couple of years ago, I was sitting with some of my friends, and a group of some of my other friends came over and started calling me names and blaming me for not sitting with them. I tried to let it go, but when I read my sweet lunch note from my mom, the tears burst out. I ran to the bathroom, and some of my friends followed me. One of my friends was really nice and brought me to my teacher, who listened to me, and then let me sit on her beanbag chair and read until the end of lunch when I had relaxed a bit. I was mad that they had said and done these things to me, especially after I had been hanging out with them a lot lately. They had really hurt my feelings, and it came out of nowhere. I had always been nice to them, and when I didn't sit with them once, they ran by my table one by one, calling out rude things to me. When the one girl went to the bathroom with me and I was crying and my teacher let me just sit and read until I was okay again, it made me feel a whole lot better. It just goes to show how much small acts of kindness matter. That is just one example of the hurtful things that can happen in our world. I forgave them that day. The next day, I came home from school and told my mom that I had intentionally played with the girls who were mean to me because I wanted to show them that I was no longer mad at them and that they were still friends. I showed the girls who were mean to me mercy. Just as I said, a king isn't the only one with the power to show mercy. We all have it. I realized that they probably didn't want to lose me as a friend, so their fear of losing me came out as blaming me for not sitting with them. They just made a mistake, and my ability to show them compassion helped them to be more compassionate towards others. Last year, I read a book called Wonder. This is a story about a boy named Augie Pullman who has many deformities. Yet he is constantly showing others mercy, even after they stare at him with odd faces or whisper behind his back or even run away from him. In Wonder, the author R.J. Palacio wrote, "Kinder than is necessary because it's not enough to be kind. One should be kinder than needed." I think that means that these kids who run away or stare at Augie rudely need to learn how to be kinder to people because it really affects the way you make those people feel about themselves. Augie showing the people who were hurtful to him mercy helped them to learn to be kinder and more considerate people. Especially when things seem hard, remember to forgive and show mercy to others. Because, believe it or not, you can change the world one person at a time and one act of kind at a time. So go out there and be a merciful person.
All right. Congratulations to Sophia and, oh my gosh, lost my place. Alicia. Congratulations to both of you. I'd like to again call up Dr. Yvette to please help us in awarding these awardees, these winners. You don't have to. All right. Alicia Qureshi. Sophia Page. And once again, she can't be here with us, Tasneem Zogel. Picture time. Congratulations, ladies. You can go back to your seats. All right, next we have a nice treat. The New Horizon West Side has their first entire choir to join us here from their school to participate in our event.
Well, I'm going to break the program for just a little announcement. Today is the birthday of Lina Sulaiman. So let's all sing happy birthday for her. Birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Lena. Happy birthday to you. Help me make a stand. Every girl, boy, woman.
On with the awards. We move on now to 7th grade. Our first awardee is from the Muslim Educational Trust in Portland, Oregon. She's unable to attend, but we'll recognize her. Amina Zakarne. Congratulations. And I will make a point. I did read her essay, and what I found fascinating was Amina found a way to really articulate a brilliant article, a brilliant point about kindness to everything, especially plants. And she went on and on in her essay about the many different ways that we can show kindness to things that we often take for granted, including plants. So it was a brilliant article. I encourage you to read that. We have next, from the New Horizons School in Irvine, to read his essay, Zaid Salam.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Zaid Salam, and I'm in 7th grade. What does it mean to truly be merciful? To me, having mercy is about showing forgiveness and compassion to others through graceful actions that benefit another person, even when you may have been hurt by them. It is also about letting go and lightening your heart when it has a heavy burden on it. It is about having compassion specifically towards a person who is younger than you, has less than you, is different from you, or is going through a hardship. Ultimately, when you practice mercy, although you may feel you are benefiting others, you are freeing yourself from the burden of being unforgiving. You are training your heart to be kind, and in return, you relieve yourself from the burden of anger, resentment, and pain. The longer you hold on to these feelings, the harder your heart becomes, and it becomes more hard and more difficult to grow a loving and merciful heart. Our beloved Prophet Muhammad strongly believed in mercy and displayed merciful characteristics in all that he did. He said, "Be merciful to others, and you will receive mercy. Forgive others, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive you." This means that a merciful person will be shown mercy by Allah, and Allah in return will make you upon the righteous people. Allah has given us this ability, and it is we individuals who need to learn how to use this and grow a sense of mercy in our hearts. For me, personally, studying the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has taught me many lessons on mercy. Prophet Muhammad was the embodiment of mercy, and samples of his life can teach us this. One of the most relevant stories of his life that teaches us about mercy is the story of his travels to the city of Ta'if. The Prophet first started out in Mecca, where things were not working out well in Islam after his uncle Abu Talib and wife Khadija died in the same year. Instead of preaching in Mecca, he traveled to a city about 70 miles away called Ta'if. He went with his adopted son Zayd bin Haritha. The Prophet and Zayd were very tired after arrival. They met the 3 chiefs of the city and invited them to stop worshiping their fake gods and instead become monotheistic. He wanted them to believe in Tawheed. However, this backfired for the Prophet. The chiefs simply refused what the Prophet had said and started mocking him. Then the situation became even worse, and the civilians of Ta'if started stoning Rasulullah and Zayd. They had to flee the city, and the Prophet and Zayd were bleeding badly. They stopped by at a nearby orchard, and the Prophet Muhammad and Zayd rested in the garden. The Prophet then raised his hands to make dua and said, "O Allah, to you I complain of my weakness and lack of resources, and my humiliation before mankind. You are the most merciful of those who show mercy. You are the Lord of the weak, and you are my Lord, to whom you entrust me. To someone distant that attacks me, or to an enemy that you gave him control over my affairs. If you are not angry with me, then I do not care. But your protection is much better and more ample for me. I seek protection in the light of your face, which illuminates the darkness, and through which all affairs in this life and in the hereafter become right. May it never that I should incur your wrath, or that you should be displeased with me. This prayer is a life lesson to us, as in his weakest moment, he turns to Allah for help. As people, sometimes in our lowest moments, we may make the wrong choices. But in this example, we learn that the best of humankind seeks Allah when he is in distress. He does not get violent, he does not raise his voice, he does not seek revenge, but yet he turns to Allah in prayer in his hardships. This is a great lesson for us to follow and practice each time we are in a weak moment in our lives. Immediately, Angel Jibril came to the Prophet after his prayers and offered the Prophet to take the mountains on both sides of Ta'if and smash them together to terminate all the people who rejected him. The Prophet simply rejected the offer because he is the most merciful creation. He could have crushed all the people who turned down his message, but because he did not, there are more than 1,200,000 Muslims in Ta'if today. His heart and intentions were always in the right place, and because of that, his message spread. The garden that the Prophet and Zayd were resting in was owned by Atba and Sheba. They were members of the Quraysh and looked very touched to see that the Prophet of Allah and Zayd were sitting in their garden in deep sorrow. They saw how wounded the two individuals were and ordered their slave Adas to give them some grapes. After a brief conversation with Adas, the Prophet and Zayd were on their way home, but still they were going to be killed if they went back to Mecca without protection. The Prophet went to Cave Hira and found Khazai Arab and asked him to go to Mutam ibn Adi, who was highly respected in Mecca. He wanted Mutam's protection, and when Khazai asked about the request, the Prophet was granted protection because Mutam was a very merciful person. When the Prophet went back to Mecca, Mutam and his sons were there to escort him. All of the men were armed with swords. They went to Mutam's house, and the Prophet was now under the protection of him. As the hadith stated, Muhammad was merciful to the citizens of Ta'if, and Allah was merciful to him by sending Mutam bin Adi to help him out. This example from the seerah is one of the best lessons on how to grow a merciful heart. The last messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Prophet Muhammad, was attacked and was able to seek revenge, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was going to destroy an entire city, but our beloved Prophet, although hurt and angry, responded by saying, maybe one day their children will be believers. It is easy to be forgiving and kind when as a human being you are in a good state. The challenge of displaying mercy usually comes when we are hurt, betrayed, or angry. Through this example, we see that the best time to practice mercy is when you are at your weakest point. Doing this not only pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we see in the story, but as a human being, the more you practice a behavior, the more it becomes a permanent part of your character. Similar to exercise, studying, and other activities as humans, the more we practice mercy and forgivingness, the more our hearts will get inclined to become a merciful person. This story also teaches us an example of the golden rule. Prophet Muhammad wanted to be treated with mercy and showed mercy to the people of Ta'if. The mercy came back to him when Mutam bin Adi showed his mercy by protecting him until he went to Medina. In moments of our lives when we are hurt, sad, and feel wronged by someone, we should know that in this moment, if we practice forgiveness, it will come back to us in a different way. This story clearly depicts the heart of the Prophet Muhammad and its ability to forgive, but it also shows us the bounty and love that God has for him and his creation. As individuals, we should always be aware that the most forgiving God created us. And if he is so forgiving, who are we not to be? The more we practice this attribute of God, the more we get closer to him, and the more we receive his mercy and the mercy of those around us. Not only does this help us in life, but we will also live our lives with a sense of ease and not be burdened with a heavy heart of anger and revenge. The act of mercy not only pleases God, but it actually benefits us too. In conclusion, being merciful can be used as a measurement of your level of God consciousness. The closer you are to God, the more you will be able to forgive and have mercy towards yourselves and others. As the closest individual to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet Muhammad was able to embody this and forgive and seek mercy to those who had hurt him. It is through his example and constant practice that we can also achieve this level of God consciousness. As in the end, this journey in life is all about making errors and working on our character. And if it wasn't for the mercy of our Creator, we would not achieve this. If He has been merciful to all of mankind, the least we can be is merciful to those around us and ourselves. Thank you.
Well done, young man. Can you wait over here? Well done, Zaid. Excellent job. Great reading, and what a beautiful essay indeed. All right, our next seventh grader, who will also, oh no, hold on a second. Yes, our next reader who will also be reading his essay is Hassan Hathout from the City of Knowledge in Pomona, California. You're somewhere in between the I need the step stool and I don't need the step stool height. What's your preference?
I don't need this.
He doesn't need the step stool. Well done, young man. There you go. Enjoy.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Hassan Hathout, and I was talking about how to grow a loving heart. Imagine you had that you had a watermelon stuck to your belly, and you had to sleep and bring it with you wherever you went. You think it is impossible, but your mother suffered and carried you wherever she went while you were in her womb. Also, your father took care of you and helped to raise you. If we respect our parents, then we'll be more likely to respect others. Our hearts will end up growing to be more loving. In this essay, I'll talk about why should we respect our parents, especially our mother. The commander of the faithful, peace be upon him, once stated, "Goodness towards parents is the greatest obligatory act." One time, a man asked the Prophet ﷺ, "O Messenger of God, who is the worthiest of my good companionship?" The Prophet ﷺ replied, "Your mother." The man said, "Then who?" The Prophet ﷺ replied, "Your mother." The man asked, "Then who?" The Prophet ﷺ again replied, "Your mother." The man asked, "Then who?" The Prophet ﷺ replied, "Your father." This story tells us that our parents, especially our mothers, are the worthiest people of our companionship. Respecting parents is crucial to us as Muslims. I recommend that whenever you see a mother, give her a big hug and a kiss. Do not be embarrassed to show her how much you love her and appreciate her. Our parents are the ones who always want the best for us. Thus, they deserve respect. Without our parents, we wouldn't be who we are today. Don't be mad when your mother cooks a dish that you don't like, because it takes a long time to prepare food. Also, it's very disrespectful when you complain about the food your mother made for you. Every day, before you go to bed, hug your parents and ask them for forgiveness for anything you have made done to anger them, before it's too late. Doing this to respect your parents is one of the excellent ways to grow a loving heart. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, "Every righteous child who has cast a look of mercy and affection upon his or her mother shall be granted for every look of his or hers rewards equivalent to an accepted Hajj." Those around the Prophet ﷺ then asked, "O Prophet of Allah, even if we were to look at them 100 times a day, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ replied, "Indeed, Allah is the greatest and most kind." How important is our mother to us if one look at them is equal to that of an accepted Hajj? Another way of growing a loving heart is to be kind to your brothers and sisters. The Prophet ﷺ said, "God is kind and likes kindness in all things." One time, I ordered a textbook for myself because my textbook was damaged. I didn't realize that I accidentally ordered 2 books. Instead of keeping one and returning the other, I gave the other to my peer, whose book was damaged. This was indeed a kind act toward my peer. Kindness isn't a bad thing. You make someone feel good, and you make yourself feel better too. Another way of growing a loving heart is giving charity. Allah states in the Holy Quran, "Those who in charity spend of their goods by night and day, in secret and in public, have their reward with their reward, and on them shall be no fear, nor shall they grieve." This verse basically says, if you spend on charity in secret or public, you have a reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you see a poor man in the street, even if you have $1, give. This action will get a reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you help someone in need. Growing a loving heart requires hard work. If everyone had a caring heart, then we would not live in a corrupt world. To make our world a better place to live in, we each need to have a loving heart. We are working towards being excellent Muslims who strengthen their hearts by being loving to our parents. This is my speech.
All right, thank you very much, Hassan. All right, next I'd like to call up to the stage for a couple of questions and answers. Muhammad Yahya Azar from the New Horizon Irvine. All right, how are you doing today, Muhammad?
Good.
Very good. So you wrote an essay. What was the title of your essay?
How to Grow a Merciful Heart.
How to Grow a Merciful Heart. So when I read yours, I was really impressed because you brought in two very famous figures and compared them to the Prophet Muhammad. Do you know which two I'm referring to? One of them was Abraham Lincoln, and the other one was Beatrice Webb. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
All right. It's easy to ask yes or no questions. Can you remember what way you had compared those three personalities? What was something about Abraham Lincoln that stood out to you, that showed you about a merciful heart?
Well, it's just the fact that he ended slavery, and I think he made the masters of the slaves show a bit of empathy towards the enslaved people. And I think empathy is really a key to grow a merciful heart, because putting oneself in the shoes of another really gets you to assess their situation and do the best thing you can to benefit that person. And showing forgiveness and mercy is a way to do that.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Muhammad Yahya. Very, very good job. Please join your fellow awardees up here. All right, and Dr. Ibad, if you'd come up and help us award them. So we'll start, of course, first with the one that can't be here with us. Let's give her another round of applause, Amina Zakarne. Zaid Saddam. Ihsan Aryan. Muhammad Yahya Azar. And now we take pictures. All right, congratulations to our 7th graders again. Next we have our 8th graders. We'll start first with a recitation of his essay from Granada Islamic School all the way up in Santa Clara, California. They've driven down from Northern California. Rayan Talukdar. Congratulations, young man. How was the drive?
It was a flight.
It was a flight. Oh, that was a great flight.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Rayan Talukdar. I'm in 8th grade and I'm from Granada Islamic School in Santa Clara, California. One of the first things I learned from my mom is that it is sunnah to remove harmful things from the road. She sets an example by always picking up any litter that comes her way and encourages me to do the same. Sometimes it is a soda can on the sidewalk, sometimes it is a candy wrapper on the schoolyard, or even crumbled paper in my classroom. I try to make it to a point to pick them up and throw them in the trash, because I believe a loving heart not only loves the people around it, but also loves the environment, this beautiful state of California, and the earth that we call home. I'm a Boy Scout from my local troop 499. We have meetings every week where we are taught many life skills. Every month or so, we do beach or park cleanups. Last year, my troop and I cleaned up the Half Moon Bay on a Saturday. We collected tons of trash, which were mostly man-made. There were soda cans, plastic takeaway food containers, plastic utensils, plastic bags, discarded clothing items, beach balls, umbrellas, and more. Things that people brought with them to the beach but never picked them up while they were leaving. Recently, I saw on the news that a dead whale washed up on a beach in Indonesia with 1,000 plastic bags in its stomach. All the trash from the beach eventually ends up in the ocean and is harmful for the marine life. The Quran says, "Do not commit abuse on the earth." Littering the earth is a form of abuse, and I'm trying to prevent it. My Boy Scout troop teaches me how to be respectful and protect the nature. Loving the nature and taking care of it is also part of growing a loving heart, and I am thankful to my Boy Scout troop for that. Ever since I can remember, my family has been recycling. In our house, we recycle every single soda can, plastic bottle, and piece of paper. That includes all the junk, mails, and even the receipt from the stores. We put all the vegetable peels and food waste into a compost bin that my grandmother has placed in our backyard. She taught me which food items can go in the compost and which cannot. I help her layer them with soil after 3 to 4 months, put them in our garden. We have a beautiful kitchen garden that supplies us with vegetables and herbs all year round. When California was in a drought a few years back, our city asked us not to water our lawns or gardens. My grandmother made it a point that we collect all the gray water from the kitchen in pails and water our vegetable gardens with it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, "Eat and drink, but do not be excessive." The resources on earth is limited. We cannot just use the resources Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with and throw them away. I'm trying to adopt the 3 R's in my everyday life: reduce, reuse, and recycle. For example, instead of wasting paper, we can simply reuse the paper around us. I write on the back of the discarded printed paper. I used old notebooks from the previous years to do my math at home. If we use new paper every time, we will end up cutting all the trees. I'm growing a loving heart by being not wasteful of the natural resources. During parties and get-togethers in my house, I noticed that people use plastic utensils and throw them away in the trash. Plastic is not biodegradable and is bad for the environment, so I started to think of an alternative that is not harmful for the environment. I remembered from my recent trip to Bangladesh that people use bamboo to make houses, bridges, fences, and more. Bamboo is a natural product, so I started thinking I wanted to make spoons out of bamboo that will be biodegradable. I asked my grandmother to bring me some bamboo pieces from Bangladesh, and I cut them and shaped them into spoons. In fact, I designed my 2018 science fair experiment after this idea. I proved that even though there are biodegradable spoons commercially available in the market, my bamboo spoons were more environmental friendly and degraded the fastest. Once you are done using a bamboo spoon, you can simply throw them in the dirt, and they will completely biodegrade within 15 months, unlike plastic spoons which will never biodegrade. My project, Bamboo to Use, making 100% biodegradable, won at my school, county, and California State Science Fair, and became nominated for the National Fair. I'm trying to grow a loving heart by taking care of the environment, by reducing items in the landfill. This year, my science fair project is also taking care of the environment. It is about how pesticide contamination can be prevented by using compost in the agricultural fields. It has become a norm to use pesticides on fruits and vegetables, which is very harmful to the human, birds, and bees. Moreover, when it rains, the pesticides slowly makes their way to the soil and contaminates it, and eventually ends up in the lakes and rivers. This is very harmful for the marine life. I'm trying to find a solution for this problem. My science experiment shows that compost can neutralize the pesticide in the soil within 120 days of introduction. The project is helping me grow a loving heart towards the environment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, "Do not neglect your portion of the world." We have only one planet to live in, the earth. If we don't take care of it, who will? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide me to grow a loving heart for the mankind and the environment. Ameen.
That was very nice, Rayan. Thank you. So one of the things for our non-Muslim audience that I try to keep aware of are the use of Arabic terms. And every time I hear one, I try to make a note. So one of them is the word Allah. So the word Allah just literally translates to God. And so for those of you who, and if there's another one, let me know and I'll translate it as well. But that's one that comes up. Next, I'd like to bring up from the New Horizons School in Irvine for some questions and answers, Farah El-Arabi. Hey Farah, how are you?
Good.
Come on up. Let everybody take a look at you. So in your essay, you also compared the Prophet Muhammad to two very interesting people. Do you remember who those two people were? Or, yeah, who were they?
John Lennon and Nelson Mandela.
John Lennon, Nelson Mandela, and Muhammad. What an interesting combination. So for those of you too young to know, John Lennon was a what?
Singer.
A singer-songwriter. And Nelson Mandela?
He was the president of South Africa.
The president of South Africa, and he was certainly one who brought a lot of freedom to that country. So can you give us, especially John Lennon, I'm sure people in the room are trying to wonder, what is the connection that you made? What is something about John Lennon that you felt put him in this category of these gentlemen?
He brought peace in his music. He used it a lot in his music.
Excellent, very good. So the message of his songs were very much around peace and love toward others. Very nice. Very good. And then Nelson Mandela, that may be an easier one, but what would you say was the message he brings of peace and mercy?
He fought against segregation, and then he was put in jail, but then after he became the president.
Very nice. Excellent. Thank you very much, Farah. Congratulations. Please stand right there next to Rayan. And our next awardee, who I'd also like to bring up for some questions and answers, is Rania Ben Othman from the New Horizons School, Irvine. Hey, Rania, how are you?
Hi, good, alhamdulillah.
Come stand right here. Okay, so Rania, you and Omar Sayed wrote about the same person. How do you pronounce his name?
Muhammad Bazik.
Muhammad Bazik. So tell us, and I know that Omar's dad gave us a brief intro into what Muhammad Bazik is doing and what he's been doing for a number of years, but give us a quick summary in your own words.
So he's a foster parent to terminally ill children in LA.
So he voluntarily goes and finds foster children, but specific types of foster children. These are ones who are terminally ill. Mm-hmm. And he's the one who volunteers and says, I will take care of them for as long as they're going to be with us. Mm-hmm. That's very wonderful. Tell us a little bit more about what you felt inspired him. And you'd mentioned somebody special in your essay that I think is somebody to know. Who did he get this idea from? Doesn't come to mind? Okay, let me think of another. When did he start doing this?
He started doing this after he graduated from college. He began with his wife.
He began with his wife?
Yeah, because his wife was a foster parent.
Right, and that's who I was referring to. Because I got the sense from your essay that he was encouraged or inspired to do this by his wife. Mm-hmm. And is his wife Muslim?
No.
She's not. What's her name? Do you remember?
Dawn.
Dawn. And so you said when he graduated from college. So how many years has he been doing this? Do you know? Approximately.
About 35 years.
So for the last 35 years he's been, and I think in your essay, if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember the number, but maybe you do. How many children has he fostered since he started doing this with his wife Dawn?
I think about 4 dozen children or more.
4 dozen or more children, so close to 50 kids at this point. And is Dawn still with us, or did she pass? I can't remember.
She passed away.
She passed away, and yet he continued doing this even after she's passed away. What a beautiful story. So what inspiration do you take, and you hope the rest of us take, from the story of Muhammad Bazik and his wife Dawn?
That even though it wasn't his responsibility to do it, he voluntarily did that. Mm-hmm. So if there's ever an opportunity to do something great, then just do it, because now he made such a great impact for these children.
He sure has, and clearly he's made an impact on you, and hopefully the rest of us today, as have all of you today. Thank you very much, Rania. And now Dr. Ibet will join me on the stage to honor our 8th grade awardees. Rayan Talakdar. Farah El-Orabi. Rania Ben Uthman. All right, pose for some photos. One more round of applause for our 8th graders. That concludes the recognition of our awardees for this evening. I would like to ask the president of the Hassan Hathout Foundation, certainly the founder and daughter of the late Dr. Hassan Hathout, may Allah have mercy on his soul, Dr. Iba Hathout.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Once upon a time, a little girl sitting on her father's lap peeked out the window and saw a bird standing on the grass of their front yard. She told her father, and they went out for a closer look. The bird had an injured wing and could not fly. Her father carefully carried the bird in his hand and back into the house. There, the little girl watched her father clean and bandage the bird's broken wing on their kitchen table. They turned a wire box into a cage so the bird could have a home. They got tap water, breadcrumbs, and plant seeds, and together fed the bird every day. A few weeks later, they woke up to the loud sound of the bird flapping its wings. The wound had healed. For the little girl, it was a time of mixed emotions. She was happy for the bird, but she had become attached and gotten used to it singing in her home every day. She was almost sure what her father was about to do. So, out in the yard again, the two of them prayed for the bird, opened the door of the cage, and said goodbye as they watched the bird fly. Ladies and gentlemen, that little girl was me. And this was one way my father showed me 3 things: love for all God's creatures, healing as part of God's service, and freedom as a God-given right to all. There were other subtle lessons, and many people know exactly how it feels when the time comes and when they have to say goodbye and watch their loved ones fly. It's amazing how little memories and random acts of kindness can go a long way in making an impact on someone's life. The goal of the Hassan Hathout Foundation in conducting this contest is not just to congratulate and reward the winners, their schools and families, but to encourage as many students, parents, teachers, and people of all faiths to join in a journey of growing love. One tree, one child, one orphan, one refugee, one disabled, one homeless, one human being at a time. For this criteria, we refined our scoring system to include style and spelling because we'd like to foster a culture of excellence. In accordance with the Islamic prophetic guidance, God loves perfection. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ إِذَا عَمِلَ أَحَدُكُمْ عَمَلًا أَنْ يُتْقِنَهُ. We are grateful to new ideas that have made us add a second theme of mercy this year, especially that it's the entire mission statement of Islam, as we read in the Quran, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. We have sent you for nothing but mercy to the worlds. Loving God is part of all the religions of Abraham. And how can one love God without loving his people? Listen to how God points out the believers in the Quran. فَسَوْفَ يَأْتِي اللَّهُ بِقَوْمٍ يُحِبُّهُمْ وَيُحِبُّونَهُ. People whom God loves will love God. In Islam, like Christianity, the connection between human love and divine love is not separable. Worshipping God is not only through work and rituals, it's also in loving and in being kind and smiling, and all the beautiful stories each of our winners shared with us today. As my father said towards the end of his life, there are two types of people, those with a loving heart and those with a hating heart. And today, more than ever, our world needs more love. That is why the Hassan Hathout Foundation chose as its motto, promoting love in God. And that is why our annual interfaith contests are called For the Love of Tomorrow. As for the journey to love, it's easier to start as a child. Remember the words of the Muslim poet Hafiz? Every child has known God, not the God of names, not the God of do's and don'ts, but the God who says, "Come dance with me." There is nothing and nobody to prevent a child from building a relation with God. If you think of God as your best friend, He'll always be there for you. We adults have to try a bit harder because most of us have something cleaning up and some cleaning up to do. We have sins to repent, people to forgive, pains to forget, wounds to heal, and hardships to endure. But the destination and the reward will hopefully make our efforts worthwhile. In gratitude to God, I'd like to thank everyone who helped make this event a reality, particularly our past, present, and future supporters. I shall end with Hassan Hathout's words. Friends in faith, rise while you still have a choice. On the wings of love, soar above, and sing with your hearts, not only your voice. God is love, God is love, God is love. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hathout, for those beautiful words, and thank you very much for carrying on your father's legacy. I'm one of the many birds that he has mended and healed along the way. That concludes our event. I want to give you a few deadlines to keep in mind. December 1st is going to be the deadline for next year's competition, so start writing your essays now. And for those of you who are a little bit too old to participate, there is one for adults and students over the age of 15. It is the 10th annual Interfaith event called For the Love of Tomorrow. This event will be on Saturday, March 23rd at 1 p.m. in Pasadena. This year's theme is Science and Spirituality. If you're interested, you can get information outside, or you could email info@hhlf.org if you're interested in attending. Thank you. May the peace and love of God be with all of you. Please join us for additional photos here at the front, and please make sure you get your parking validated. Have a wonderful night.